Mouse PI for hire seems pretty straightforward at first. You run around, shoot things, find some collectibles, and maybe play a bit of baseball on the side. But pretty quickly, I realised there are a few things that this game really does not explain very well early on. Some stuff is missable, some upgrades matter way more than they first seem, and a couple of habits make the whole game much smoother. So if you're just starting out, here are the beginner tips I think actually matter. The biggest thing I'd say right away is this. Keep a manual save before every mission, because once you finish a mission, you can't just go back and clear things up. So if you miss a collectible, ignore a side job, or leave something behind, then you won't be able to get it for the rest of the game. That means if you care about collectibles, or trying to 100% the game, get into the habit of saving before you start each mission. It sounds obvious, but this is the one thing where I think the game really should make it clearer, because you might assume you can just come back later, but you can't. The next big one is, explore more than you think you need to. Mouse hides a lot of useful stuff just slightly off the main path, whether that is money, ammo, schematics, or collectibles, and a lot of it is not very hidden either. It's usually just around the corner, in a side room, or behind something breakable. So if the game gives you a path forward, take a second and look around first, because if you just sprint through the main route, you'll miss a surprising amount. This leads into side jobs. If you see a side job pop up, marked by the little book with a question mark above someone's head, I would at least pick it up as soon as you can, because most of them just ask you to do something during the corresponding mission, and usually won't take you too far out of your way. More importantly though, they are worth doing. They can give you some useful rewards like coins and prize tokens. Prize tokens can be spent at the bar and eventually get you a new gun. That said, I would not go massively out of my way grinding for it, but if you're already close to the amount you need, then it may be worth playing a few more rounds of cards to finish it off. So my advice here is pretty simple. If a side job appears, don't just assume it will still be there later. Do it while it's there first. One thing the game does not really sell hard enough early on is how useful schematics are, because this is what you use to upgrade your weapons. And if you're just following the main path, you'll get some here and there, but a lot of them are found when you explore around a little. So when you're checking out side rooms and going off the beaten path, keep an eye out for these. Money is nice, ammo is useful, but schematics will actually improve your arsenal. And don't feel like you need to hoard them either, because you should be getting enough to upgrade what you want if you look around a little. And that leads into probably the easiest practical tip in the whole video. Upgrade every weapon at least once, because that first upgrade is extremely good value. It unlocks the alt-fire, and that immediately makes most guns more useful. So rather than hoarding schematics and only investing in 1 or 2 guns early on, I think there's a lot of value in giving every weapon that first bump as soon as you can. And they're not that expensive either. Each first upgrade only costs 1 schematic. It's one of those simple rules that just makes the whole combat sandbox feel much better, because you have way more options to play with. If I had to give one specific weapon recommendation early, it would be this. Prioritize the Devarnisher. This thing has felt really strong for me, especially in boss fights. And once you get the alt-fire, it can absolutely melt them, to the point where some bosses can go down in just a couple of clips. So while I still think getting that first upgrade on every weapon is smart, if you want to know where I'd put extra investment early, the Devarnisher is the one I would pick, especially if you're struggling against some of the bosses, or just feel like they're a bit too spongy. Give this weapon a try. Another useful thing to know early is this: don't hoard your coins. Coins are mostly there to help you in the moment. This is not one of those games where you need to save everything for some giant mystery expense later on. Most of the time, coins are going towards ammo, baseball cards, or picking up collectibles in the shop. Occasionally, coins can also be used in missions to bribe someone, but these only cost a handful and shouldn't make much of a dent. So I think a better mindset is not never spend, it's spend it on what you need. If you need ammo for a mission, buy some. If you want to build a better deck for the baseball card minigame, pick up some more cards. Side note on the cards as well, the shop often restocks throughout the game, so make sure you scroll down and check for the cheaper 100 coin cards too, because those can help build your deck up pretty nicely. And if you're doing side jobs as well, they can often reward you with a pretty decent payday. So don't feel the need to hoard the coins, just spend them on whatever actually helps you in the moment. Another easy tip, use the Roadhouses. They are genuinely pretty handy, because when you're out doing missions, they give you a way to buy ammo, upgrade weapons, save, and even get in a round of baseball without having to drive all the way back to the office. And that just makes the overall flow of the game much smoother. They're one of those small practical things that saves time, cuts down on backtracking, and makes it easier to stay topped up when you're doing multiple missions in a row. They are dotted around the map as well, so you are usually never too far from one. Once you're actually in combat, the biggest thing I noticed is this: don't stand still. It's way easier to avoid enemies and projectiles if you stay moving. If you stop, hesitate, or play too static, fights can get messy pretty quickly. So even before getting into weapon choice, movement alone makes a big difference. And tied to that, the game rewards aggression more than you might expect, especially with certain weapons. Shotgun's a good example, because it can stun bigger enemies that like to rush you. So instead of always backing away and playing too cautiously, sometimes the better answer is to get up right in their face and deal with them quickly. That does not mean mindlessly charging everything either, but it does mean that in a lot of fights, keeping on the move and playing aggressively makes things go much more smoothly. Last quick one, break everything. Because this is an easy source of money, ammo, and the occasional surprise. It takes basically no effort, but it can really add up over time. So if you're running through levels and constantly running out of ammo, try smashing all those boxes and barrels instead of ignoring them. You can even just use the kick if you want to conserve ammo. And oftentimes, you might even find a hidden route behind some of these boxes. So yeah, those are the mouse beginner tips I think will actually help you. Mouse is not a super difficult game, but there are definitely a few areas it does not make especially clear. If you found any other early tips that made a big difference for you, let me know below. And I'll be doing a full review on the game soon once I've finished writing up my thoughts. So if you want to stick around for that, or check out what else I'm doing, feel free to subscribe.